Talk about a crazy way to end out 2024. I kind of thought we were done with new releases, or at least big, high profile new releases, until I saw this one pop up. And it's already available within the US market at retail. It's the new Dior Homme Parfum 2025. This is going to be an interesting one. I'm nervous because Dior Homme Parfum, both the 75 ml and the 100 ml, they're my favorite fragrances ever. They're just really, really special, really good designer releases. And I don't know what they did here. We're going to find out, but we'll see if it's any good or not. I did make the mistake and go look at some reviews, and it's already looking not so good. Seems like they might have taken this one and took it in a wildly different direction, but we'll find out for ourselves. First things first, okay? We're back to 75 ml. 75 ml for $180 or 50 ml for $160. I really see no reason to get the 50 ml at that point. If you're already spending that much, you might as well just go for the one that's going to get you the best value, but I digress. So here is the bottle. It is not at all what I was really expecting. I mean, obviously I've seen the pictures of it. Looks cool in pictures, but I don't know. It's got a pretty heavy gradient to it. I like the cap, I will admit. I like the silver contrast. But it is wildly different than vintage 75 ml Dior Homme Parfum, okay? Just even the coloration of the liquid itself is significantly lighter. Not that that really matters. Usually it's just they're adding some sort of colorant to it to give it that darker, richer color, so it's not necessarily a deal breaker. But even in the 100 ml, right, still vastly different. So it's kind of keeping the shape of the 100 ml. We're just getting, obviously, a smaller bottle and then a different cap, basically. Let's go ahead and try it out. Already came primed for us. So immediately, vastly different than previous versions. And I mean, I can tell that instantly. Okay, there is definitely leather and iris, okay, and that's kind of a given, but it's not, using any oud, any rose, or anything like that. Instead, to me, it is the same exact type of iris in Dior Homme Intense, but just amplified even more. Because really, the type of iris in Dior Homme Intense is very much a powdery, lipsticky smelling iris that didn't quite carry over as much in Dior Homme Parfum. I mean, you definitely get the iris, but it is masked so much by the leather, the oud, and the rose that it didn't come across the same way. This, I mean, if I was, blindfolded or I just didn't know what was going on, smelling this one, I would think that it was like just a stronger version of Dior Homme Intense. That's really what it smells like to me right now. So it's like they're actually just amplifying Dior Homme Intense is what I'm getting currently. Because, again, you're not getting the extra goodies that you got in the original Dior Homme Parfum. Instead, it's just amped up iris even more. And so already, Dior Homme Intense was one that has always been kind of polarizing because of that type of iris and how it presents itself. People have compared it to a makeup bag or something like that, which, by the way, I didn't bring it down here with me, but ordering directly from Dior, I got a little makeup bag and some, I think it was lipstick and eyelash stuff or something, mascara. Kind of, it's weird. I didn't ask for that stuff. It was free samples. Kind of makes you wonder. But yeah, I mean, it definitely just amplifies what a lot of people either love or hate about Dior Homme Intense. I think in a lot of ways, this is probably a flanker that makes more sense because it's just a richer version than the one that came before it, whereas Dior Homme Parfum took it in a way different direction. Let's take a look at the note breakdown here. Not that there's a whole lot going on. We've got iris up top, amber in the mid, patchouli and vetiver in the base. Of course, getting iris, a little bit of patchouli, but a lot of leather for me, and that's not something that they list off. A little bit of a slight floral, a very mild white floral, and I understand the iris can kind of give off a floral smell, of course, but besides the iris, right, there's a little bit more of a soft, slight freshness going on, and not even really from the vetiver either. It's getting some woods later on, a bit of a creaminess too, almost like you would get a bit of a tonka bean in here, things like that. But yeah, just a little bit of a freshness. This is definitely going to be a lot more appealing than something like the original Dior Homme Parfum. But I can tell you guys, this is going to let a lot of people down. How do I feel, right? Because again, I just already started the video off saying Dior Homme Parfum is one of my favorites ever. This isn't going to live up to that in the same way for me, okay? Now, you know, I'm going to make sure I have plenty of backup bottles. And I would advise you to do the same because it's out there and about. It's out and about right now. You can get Dior Homme Parfum on a few different discounters. You're paying nearly $200 for it, about the same as this, but better price per mil. But it's out there. My advice to you, strongly consider looking into that before it's too late. I will say, okay, I'm not going to just jump on the train and bash this one unnecessarily immediately. I could see this one becoming a favorite of mine over Dior Homme Intense because again, and not to sound redundant here, but it's just stronger, amped up Dior Homme Intense really. So, you know, I could just see this taking place of Dior Homme Intense in a lot of situations, especially here as we're in winter and it's getting colder and colder. You know, this, I would imagine, may have better performance. It's a true parfum. And that's something I could just see myself really enjoying a lot. I do like how it smells, but it is vastly different and probably going to be a letdown for some, and it's definitely going to ruffle some feathers. I mean, in fact, it already has. Now, let's take a look at some of the comparisons. This is where it got a little bit interesting for me. It threw me off, and I didn't know what to expect. The first one is Le Male Le Parfum. In a roundabout way, can I see where they're coming from when you smell it, and then you start imagining how that one smells? I can see that a little bit. Now, this one still is heavier, richer, and stronger in terms of its delivery. Le Parfum is actually a little bit softer. It's not quite something that has a bunch of impact. This one has a little bit more punch to it. But again, I can kind of see where people are coming from, but I would not call this really a clone of that, although it is a bit more modernized and a bit more designer level for sure. Armani Code, what is this? It's the Parfum. Another one where I can kind of see that because they did bring in some iris into the Code DNA, which is very heavy on the tonka bean, a little bit of iris and some woods going on and a bit of a lavender, slightly fresh floral component, just a little bit. Again, I can see it. It's kind of in the same vein, and what I view this one as is they're keeping up with the trends because a lot of fragrances these days are starting to smell and kind of go down that similar rabbit hole or just that style. And so I can see that. Dior Homme O, definitely a beloved one that's been discontinued for years now. I'm not quite as on board with that one. Dior Homme O was much fresher and had a very prominent, strong coriander note that is nowhere near found in Dior Homme Parfum 2025. Prada L'Homme Intense, kind of following a similar blueprint there. A little bit of a sweet, heavy, leathery iris. Yes and no, a little bit, but not enough to where it's cut and dry. And then from there, we got Armani Code EDP, Ultra Male, a couple other Prada L'Hommes, Sauvage Very Cool Spray, which is weird, Armani Code Absolute, and just a few more. Yeah, I can see where some of those are coming from, but again, it's just not that simple. But it is a modernized Dior Homme Parfum. This, to me, just isn't going to go down in history like the original has, okay? The original is going to be remembered from years from now. It's kind of like, when you think back on some of the best designer fragrances for men that are discontinued now, things like Gucci Envy and a lot of other fragrances that, if you thought about it long enough, they would start popping into your head. We could list them off for a long time, but Gucci Envy came to mind first. I mean, people are talking about that stuff forever. And no matter what Gucci puts out today or over the past 10 plus years, nothing's really going to come close to it. That's kind of what this one is like, you know? It's never going to be as good. I'm not saying it's bad. I think it's going to grow on people. It's going to have the same effect that Dior Homme 2020 had, which maybe we could kind of have seen this one coming anyway because they took away really good Dior Homme with iris and they gave us the woody, strong, aromatic, aroma chemical heavy Dior Homme 2020. That pissed people off, but now it's not so bad. It's going to be the same with this. Just give it some time. I still prefer Dior Homme, and I'm still always going to prefer Dior Homme Parfum, the originals, but this one isn't bad either. It's going to be a completely different use case, and it's going to appeal to completely different people, and quite frankly, it's going to appeal to more people, which at the end of the day, you can obviously tell that is their goal with this one, because, just look at over the years how hard Dior Homme Parfum has been to get. It's just because there wasn't the demand for it, because if there was, they would make it easy to get. I mean, it's just a numbers game. They want to get those sales, and if nobody's really interested in terms of the broad market, they're not really going to prioritize that. I could see this one actually doing pretty well, price aside, you know, kind of like Sauvage Elixir, very expensive, but it's super popular. Clones are going to come out of this at some point and all that good stuff as well. I'm expecting good performance out of this. That would make it that much better. You know, Dior Homme Intense, it's a good performer, but it has gotten a bit weaker over the years. And I would like to see this one do better than Dior Homme Intense, given just, you know, how it's a more intense version of it, essentially. So that's really what it's all about, the new Dior Homme Parfum. You know, let me know down below. This is going to be interesting. I want to hear from you guys. What's your thoughts? Have you tried it yet? What do you think? If you haven't tried it yet, are you going to or not? You know, I want to see the discussion get going on this, you know, because we're talking about some heavy hitters that are going away for good. I mean, these are iconic. Just look at the color of the old Dior Homme Parfum. It's beautiful. Who doesn't like that, you know? They could have at least added a little bit more colorant to this stuff to make it look cooler. And honestly, I could do without the heavy gradient too. I think it makes the bottle just look way smaller than it needs to, considering that both of these are 75 mLs. They already increased or decreased the bottle size, and then it just makes it look even smaller unnecessarily. Alrighty guys, that's gonna do it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.